Hi all, perhaps a good place to start building this conception is somehow the one-sided argument on the linearity of linguistic expressions. However, in the world of today's superficiality, the linearity of language is perhaps the commonplace misconception, and just along those lines, because of this superficiality, there needs to be an intention on the emphasis of self-direction, or autonomy, or agency, because in a world where reality is transgressed into different strands of logic, determination, discourse, minimal expressions of self, the opening of things hidden, etc., agency might be a luxury to have, or perhaps to possess.
Let me introduce you to a little bit of a foundation, but first of all, instead of calling out any names of authors, we will call them scripters, for the author is dead. Thus, Hull and Cates, the modern scripters of our interests, gives a general understanding of digital storytelling, as to provide a framework for agency. But before we go into the details, let us start with a story, a traditional story, a thing of the past that has lingered over the present through the ingenious enablement of language, art, joyful misconception of poetry, and the like.
Let us consider what is meant by a story. A story is an attempt to stimulate the functions of nerves via the effects of the most extravagant semiotical epics. It is useful to note that one should remember all stories as being told, which means everything which happens ex post facto. This goes for the creative story, too, since it happens in the expressive stage, not the creative stage. The storyteller, much like a shaman, a mediator, a middleman, gives the reader/listener/encounter a possible pathway to form vague hopes on the way to the event. A narrative self herself is no more than a performance, because there is no story if there is no teller. Such might be the useful conception of all postmodern ideas, because after the linguistic turn in history, we start forming our questions very differently. However, the small space of enablement wherein stories lie still have not changed. There lies the eternal gap to be fulfilled between the subject that wants to express, here we call him the expressive, and the overall immense dictionary of discourse, here we call it language. Thus, following Bakhtin, Hull and Cates argue that to achieve this state of agency, or constructing agentive identities, one has to go through a linguistic and ideological struggle to make the words one's own. Or, maybe to put it more poetically, one's harmony with one's own internal persuasive strands of discourses, none of which with origin, none of which allow for a stopping point.
It is clear that the struggle with language has been very well received by our consciousness. It is not easy to express, and even more difficult to express through a medium. Nevertheless, we will not dive into this conception further. It is just a foundation for our presentation. According to the wise words of a philosopher, I am uncertain of the name, once we enter the world of meaning, there is no reason for us leaving it. But this world of meaning is already a pressing thing. Its call for an ahistorical aspect of use will make the strong identity feel the various effects of the lack, that which is the yearning for agency. Words are strange, these contrived scrawls, these guttural mutterings that only resemble the meta-reality of sounds, of the grain of the voice, of the fleshiness of the lips, of the whole carnal stereopony. They somehow conjure, entice, explain, seduce, confound, convey, reveal, ovulate, twist, incarnate, formulate, intermingle, and linger.
That shall be enough, my friend.
Certainly so, but it is necessary that I express the power of words. It seems clear that language never says anything. It invents a series of gestures which between them present differences clear enough for the conduct of language to the degree that it repeats itself, recovers and affirms itself, and conveys to us the palpable flows and contours of a universe of meaning. And since we have no reason to lure ourselves away from this universe, it is important for an impressionable mind to get a feel for it, to be able to sense its presence, its pulsional incidence, its tempo.
This should be a good place for me to state that certain strands of development in the performativity of language suggest that there could be a possible trace in the development in the language to delineate that flatness of ordinary language. but to say so is to work from a presupposition that language itself is somehow flat, which, as we have seen, is not the case. Examples in the field of poetry, with poets such as T.S. Eliot, and prose writing, with writers like William Burroughs, already suggest that it is possible to engage in a life that, though it itself constructs and itself deconstructs, is, in Roland Barthes' words, life never does more than imitate the book, and the book itself, likewise, is a tissue of signs that is lost, with endless imitation, infinitely postponed. That is tantamount to the idea that language is not to be judged as simply an aesthetic standard, but it is to be lived through, felt through, and made center. There is no doubt that the argument, language is linear, is just flat out false. The performativity of language ever since antiquity has shown us that, like speech, it works dependently according to the mode of understanding a certain part of language.
That is why we consider language as a sphere, and expressing thoughts, ideas, or stories through it is a struggle. Let us get back to the story, which is a treat of semiotical epics, but this realm of linguistic representation is not easy to penetrate. Thus, as the way we understand it, to counter the perpetual effect on the lack of agency concerning this huge thing, language, digital storytelling comes about. We live amidst of cultural artifacts, and the thought itself becomes an exhibition thereby. All gestures, insofar as an interactive aspect is concerned, are hitherto established. The exposition of the smile, the elicitation of a joyous glance, the tucking of the hair, etc. are all one-way pointers towards other semiotical means. Thus a patching of a series of different styles of expression might suggest, and have the effect of, a story. Digital storytelling is anything but new. We have been doing this since antiquity. Elements of music, dance, inspirational aspect of nature, poetry, and amidst of other things inaugurate textual pleasure. But the common thing of these means of expression resemble a very abstract level of textual feel. Digital storytelling, its name only implies a method, or a means of expression, is a way of explicating, or complicating, enabling the understanding of these fruitful textual concepts. It is as if language is made flesh, when it becomes palpable, and when the ovulation or twisting of the words become a tissue of this life, of this visibility, as though it is the air that we breathe, which does not seem true, but can be touched.
Thus, digital storytelling still has its style deeply rooted in the development of, and I will use the French word, l'histoire, which purports to tell both a story and the history of a development, a becoming, which is to say, it is first and foremost a perspective. Essentially, digital storytelling is no more than a story that should be known for a fact, since it is what is denoted in the term. This becoming has itself a narrative structure, though not linear, and along with which all the possible attributes it is associated with when one encounters a story. So what it has become of digital storytelling is this: the narration of digital storytelling still does not explicate itself that grandly that it is possible to separate it from traditional storytelling. After all, a digital storyteller does nothing much differently than a storyteller who is a mediator between communicational structures and the event being what happened.
Through digital storytelling, it is clear that we come to close proximity of the formation of identity through agentive means. Not only that we are no longer confined by the possibilities of linguistic enablement, there are other forms of expression that will be employed and configured so that, through the act of telling a story therein, one gains the effect of being self-directed, which is what is being strived for here. Thank you for listening, although I could not help but notice some yawns.
You are so impolite. Thank you, everyone.